Welcome, everyone. Holy moly. Okay, I've been so nervous about this. So, when I did my very first free workshop about 7 years ago for Brave Healer Productions, one person showed up. Anyone relate? So, for this workshop, there were 108 registrants. And you can see how many people are here today who actually showed up. Good for you guys. Thank you for being here live. But when I saw the registrant number for this workshop, I was like, yes, like I'm going to tell them that example because, first of all, it took a few years, okay? But I'm actually here because I'm passionate about helping you in a way that will speed that up a little bit, divine timing. I know who I'm talking to, you healer people. But there are some things I wished I had known about this topic, and I really want to give it to you today. So in case you don't know me that well yet, I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions. We're a publisher for holistic health and wellness professionals that focuses on the thriving business behind our authors. My training includes 30 years of holistic physical therapy, including a 6-figure private cash practice that I ran for many years. And for business writing, that type of stuff, I have trained with some cool people. I have gone through Marie Forleo's B School and her Copy Cure program. I've worked with New York Times bestselling author Laura Munson's Haven Writing Retreats. I've done Smart Bloggers Freedom Machine program, and I am a certified content marketer through them as well. I've done a lot of things in business and writing and speaking. I've written and published 5 books of poetry, 4 teaching memoirs, and co-authored at least 10 books at this point. I've also published over 40 Amazon bestsellers at this point in time. And really the specialty right now is the collaborative book, where the mission is to build that bigger community with each collaboration that we publish, to give authors and business owners the now what afterwards, right? You might be launching a book, a program, a coaching program, whatever. And then it's like a forever thing in terms of your community building and your marketing and your promotion. So I wanted to give people like, well, now what after that? Firstly, today, if you aren't already a Brave Healer Insider, like a part of my email list, you're going to get access to the resources vault with that sign up. And Kelly's going to put the link in the chat for you if you aren't already on it. The Mastering Your Ideal Client Workbook. Yeah, this is a 30-page PDF, you guys. I'm definitely not going to get through 30 pages worth of stuff today. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is in there though. So take some notes, but then go grab that masterclass workbook later and really move through it slowly. You'll recognize some of the things I'm talking about today. You're going to get a lot more in that workbook. All right. And plus, that's not the only thing in the resources vault. I mean, there's literally thousands of dollars worth of training for free in that resources vault. Go have at it, right? Eat it up a little bit at a time, really focus on the exercises that I'm giving you in some of those trainings. It will make a difference. So what I want you to know about today is that literally, if I had the info that I'm going to share today back before I opened up that first physical therapy business, and definitely before I founded Brave Healer Productions, man, it would have been a game changer for me. If I had truly done the work of mastering my ideal client, if I had really had clarity and understanding about what that even meant back then, I would have catapulted myself in terms of business growth. And this is what I want for you. I know you're going to have a nugget today. You'll probably have multiple nuggets. So implement them one at a time. I tend to bowl people over with information. I know that I'm a little overwhelming sometimes. One of my coaches actually said to my face, Laura, it takes some stamina to roll with you. I know this. I know this, okay? So take what you can take today. You've got the workbook for later, and you're going to have this replay also, okay? So you can do it a second time if you need. But rather than having that information in the beginning, my strategy was like, throw the spaghetti at the wall and do that every day and see what works. And I was really good at that. I have been good at that. You know, I'm an expert action taker. You're looking at an empire that got to where it is from that strategy. All right. So there's some good things about action taking, whether or not you have the clarity, that you get the clarity inside of the action. So I'm going to be giving you some action steps today that will help you get the clarity. You're not going to get perfect before you go and take this action, you guys. You're going to take the action and you're going to figure it out in the middle of it. Okay. And I'm not afraid of making mistakes anymore. I'm not afraid of asking stupid questions. I'm like, I'll be the first one to raise my hand if I don't get something, if I'm confused by it, or it's just not, I'm not understanding it, right? So I want you all to do that with me today too. There's no stupid questions. The person who asks all the questions is the smartest one in the room. They're learning what they need to learn, and they're not afraid to ask in a room full of people, right? I want to get you all there a little faster than I got there. So let's do this. So today I'm going to talk about what even is an ideal client, the problems that I see with my friends' efforts to attract their ideal clients. I'm going to talk to you about what you should know about your ideal client. We're going to talk about how to write and speak directly to the heart and soul of your ideal client in the most authentic, badass way possible. We're going to talk about writing and speaking to them in a way that attracts them into your world and has them clicking on your stuff and purchasing your offerings. I'm assuming you are all here for that, right? And you know what's so awesome about that is if I get you to the place where they are all doing that, my ripple gets bigger. You are all out there helping people. So if more people click on your beautiful offerings, you win, I win, the ripple goes, and we are changing the world. You guys, you know, I believe this every single workshop I do. So I believe in what you're doing. And now we learn about this sharing in a way that we just stop having that sales conversation. Stop having that conversation. Okay, get that out of your head. We are sharing our passion and our magic, life-changing, transformational magic with people. That is what we're doing. And we're going to do it in a really cool way today. So I'm going to do some live coaching later on. And you're going to want to stick around till later, except for I'm going to tell you about it now a little bit, because I'm going to share with you one of the best offers I've ever shared for any of my programs so far to date with you today. Okay. And you're like, Laura, don't do that teaser in the beginning. Okay, here it is. So the Brave Healer Business Accelerator is starting on September 19th. It's a 7-week live program. I'm going to hold your hand and take you through 7 weeks of catapulting your business. There's the tease. I'll give you info later. Okay, I do have a paid program. I do a lot of free stuff, but I do have paid things too, you know, like all of you. So what is an ideal client? Your ideal client is the person who needs exactly what you have to offer and will spend money on it. An ideal client is someone who sees your sharing, your ads, your offerings, and they think, oh, that is exactly what I need. How did you know? And your offerings are a hell yes for them. That's like a click, like, oh my gosh, I need that. This person is going to wave a magic wand and fix my problem. Can you feel the little bit of amped up energy in that? There's no meh here. There's no half-assed thing here. It is over there in terms of energy. And if it's not, guess what? They're not clicking. And you'll never know about that, right? So we want to make the hell yes happen way more often. And I know that it can do that for you. I know that you can do that for you. So how do we get to that faster? How do we get to the hell yes faster? So I have had, I will count maybe 4 ideal clients. And you might be like sitting there going, oh, well, maybe I thought there was only supposed to be 1 ideal client. Well, you shift and change, and your clients will shift and change. You step into the authentic you, sharing your offerings, and guess what? It shifts and transforms. So Stacy Snow was my first ideal client. Stacy, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being in my world. If you ever listen to this, how did I know she was my ideal client? She was me. She was a physical therapist, divorced with children, and she was growing her business and wanting to go a little bigger than one-on-one PT clients into something bigger, serve more people. Anybody here interested in that? Serving more than one-on-one, doing bigger? Yeah, I know you are. So when I met her, there was so much we had in common. First of all, you're going to find these people and you're like, oh my gosh, you're my long lost sister. That can be an ideal client, right? She had similar problems to me and she had walked a similar path. So that's cool. The next clue was Marie Forleo's B School. Some of you have been through it. And the big secret was you are your ideal client. You all know this too. So it's that person 5 or 10 years ago who had the obstacles and had to get through what they had to get through to get to where you are now. You are your ideal client. 5 or 10 years ago with those problems, those mindset blocks, those issues, those relationships, that status of where you were in your business, there you are over there, right? So how would you talk to yourself? And how would you share with that person? So that's another clue to this, right? It's a little bit of both things. It's this person and it's you. And then my friend Shirley showed up, and many of you here know the Shirley story, right? So what happened when this woman came into my life was a whole nother level of amazing intensity, burning the purpose fire underneath my ass. And it was like, whoa, this is the person I'm doing what I'm doing for, whether I even know they're out there or not. And the Shirley story, if you've heard it before, thank you for listening again, because I'm going to tell it. And I want you to imagine, if you've heard it before, the people in your life that have said different things to you. Okay. So if you haven't heard it before, here it goes. In 2016, this was right in the beginning of Brave Healer Productions history. I was sitting at my computer on Facebook, and up pops a business messenger message. And I never answered business messenger before that day, like ever. Like I wasn't even paying attention to it. It was so random that I was staring at it that day. Random, right? And she writes this note in the chat and it says, hey, I love that thing you wrote on Mind Body Green, that blog. And I've been struggling with depression a little bit lately. And I was wondering, do you have any other links I could read? And I was like, of course, right? I had written over 300 blogs. They were everywhere, my website, Medium. And I had written on this topic of healing and self-care. It was, of course, I have more links for you to read. So I said that. And I dropped a couple of self-care links, blogs I had written. And we chatted a little bit more. I learned that she was a mother of 5 and had been struggling with depression. So I went a step further after leaving her the links. I went away for a bit and I whipped out a blog, and some of you will laugh at me of how fast I write, but I really wanted to dedicate a blog to her at that point. I wanted her to know that I cared about her beyond just dropping her some links. So I wrote and dedicated a blog to her anonymously and invited my community up in as a call to action in the comments. And I said, you guys, I know that you're healers and mothers and you've been there with depression and you understand this. What love and support and advice would you have for my friend here? And they did. They stepped up in those comments. And I think Shirley, for the first time in a really long time, felt a connection that she had been craving. And she signed up for this one of the first classes. I told you I had one person signed up for my free workshop for the first class. Well, Shirley was actually in the first paid class of the class that example came from, okay? And she came into a class and she went forward to writing her 2 first blogs ever to the world. One about being a mom of 5 and struggling with depression. And the second blog she wrote to the world was like, hey, moms out there, you can do this, right? Just reach out. If I can do this, you can do this. And I was like, I was beside myself at that point, how amazing she was to even have reached out to me that day. But while all of that was going on, the class and everything, and we were becoming friends and chatting, and I was learning more about her, she finally divulged to me that she had been planning the suicide note she'd write to her husband and 5 children at that time. You guys, if that's the only thing I ever do for an ideal client is write a blog, I mean, it's going to be enough, right? Like, you just don't understand what's happening in the background for people when you get brave enough to share yourself in a personal, authentic, heart-centered, soul-driven way. That's what we're going to do with our ideal clients. And I'm so grateful. Thank you, Shirley, if you are ever watching this. So grateful I get to tell you that story. I'll tell it a million more times. You all have your Shirleys. Who's your Shirley, right? Who is your Shirley? Write a first name down on your notebook. Who is the person in your life that has told you that you've helped them, that you've worked with, that you connected with, that is a client of yours now? Who are these people? And you need to understand that your purpose for ideal clients, your purpose here for your business, everything you create, everything you write, everything you speak, everything you create for your business, your purpose for that has a name and a face. If you're talking to everyone, you're talking to nobody. And that gets me to the very first biggest problem I see my friends making. Mistake, it's just about getting clear. The biggest problem I see is when I read or hear the offerings, the business owner thinks they're talking to their ideal client, but they're still being too vague. And they end up talking to nobody because they're still trying to talk to everyone because they want as many leads as possible. They want as many clients as possible. If I'm not talking to everyone, how am I going to get the clients? It's actually the opposite. When you get personal and specific, the clients will come. There's plenty for everybody on the planet, plenty of clients. So we don't want to lose the business, right? So we get a little afraid about how we're writing and speaking things because we want to capture it all. The most common one I hear all the time, well, mainly I serve women, but men too. Sorry, guys. You do not know how many times I've heard it over and over. Listen, my ideal client is a woman, but you guys see the guys here today, right? They're here. I think they love me too. Okay. But you're not going to not attract everyone. It's more about your clear communication, energy, and the place of authenticity. It is okay. Be unapologetic about saying, hey, well, my ideal client is a woman. She's probably in her late 40s to early 50s. She is married or probably divorced, and she's a mom. And she is either started or has been in her own business for a while. She's very wellness oriented. She likes green smoothies. She does yoga. She plays with her kids on the weekend, unless they're off at college, which would be my situation. So I can actually describe, I was describing Stacy just now to you. Okay. Can you describe your person? Like, do you know anything about them, right? So where are these words we are writing and speaking? Well, I mean, I could sum it up for you and say everywhere, and they all count and they all matter. The way that you're attracting ideal clients is all the time, everywhere. And not to overwhelm you, but your social, your blogs, your books, your sales pages, your newsletters, your speaker sheets, your media kits, your personal emails, your messenger messages, your talks, your summit presentations, your live streams, everywhere. So it's everywhere you write and speak. So since it's about every word you write and speak, the first thing I'm going to tell you about this is speaking for your ideal client is just, you best be practicing being your best, truest, wildest, hippiest, sexiest self. And if you feel like you're holding back at all, if she's hiding, if he is hiding, you're missing the boat. So where are you still just a little bit? The posture just gets a little smaller. What's happening when that's happening? When you're typing something and you're expressing yourself, and then you start to stop and wonder, and you're way overthinking it. Ooh, should I say it this way? Should I say it? Oh, stop. Be yourself. Be your sexy self. Okay? That is the biggest key. So the awareness I want you to get today, the nugget, is like you can practice pausing in the moment of that feeling. Mine is in my heart and it's a little in my gut. And I know this feeling now. So when I can connect with it right away, ooh, gosh, why am I feeling that not in my solar plexus right now? Okay, maybe I'm trying too hard. Maybe I have constricted or braced around this thing, and now I'm thinking too much. And I am not really expressing myself. I'm expressing from a constricted, tight place when I really want to be deep breath, open, expanded, heart-centered, soul-driven. You got all of me. Take it or leave it. Oh, doesn't that feel like a relief even just, oh, yeah, that's who she or he is going to click on, right? That's where the person is going to be like, oh my gosh, let me be in her world a little bit more. That energy, I need that energy. I need that, right? So you were never meant to impress everyone. There will be people who don't like you and people who love you, and all is good, So rather than changing everything to make someone else happy, it's more about getting to know yourself and then how to express her in a way that resonates with others. And there's an art and a skill and a practice to this ideal client work. It's a practice. So just keep getting better at it. You already are today, right? I want you to remember that you're talking to somebody specific. So when I asked you who is your Shirley, I'd love to see some first names in the chat right now. Who is your Shirley? What's her or his first name? Do you have somebody you're writing and speaking to and for? Yes, fantastic.
Laura, we had a question by Tano that asked, what if you are still your ideal client right now? Do I have to do all that internal work before I can truly offer what others need?
There's going to be some work to be done, and I want your ideal client to be a combination of who the little Laura was. Maybe I'll call her little Laura, or over there, Laura. And the person who maybe is a current ideal client, or maybe even somebody you've served for free, and you're starting to understand this other person at another level also. And it's a combo of the two. So in all of the ideal work that I've done, I've of course heard, well, it's just you. Well, then there's a Stacy and a Shirley. And, you know, Shirley kind of fired me up more than my old me. And I was like, okay, that is making me feel something profound. And when you're amped up in enthusiasm, energy, and passion, don't, think about what your people really want to feel. They want to feel inspired and energized and excited and hopeful and connected and loved. They want to feel all the things. So are you bringing yourself up to that level? I would say the best way to answer that is it's a little bit of both. Figure out the feelings and then do the work to bring you to the light side. Does that make sense? And you can unmute, Tanya, if you want to comment.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of work for myself, but I'm still in my ideal client because I haven't gone, past like certain barriers that I know are in front of me, even though I've gone through other ones in which I can help my clients. But so yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm almost like growing along with them.
For sure. And you have all heard the other saying that goes something like, you only really need to be a step or two ahead to help somebody grab their hand and pull them with you. And that's okay too. And that's why I opened up with saying your ideal client will shift and transform. So you be ready for the ride of change that happens. And every year I'm looking at my website, I'm looking at my offerings, I'm checking in with myself. Gosh, who am I this year? What has changed? How do I want to talk to people this year? Is it different than last year? Why? What matters to me this year that maybe didn't so much like go with that ride and keep being on the journey. And that's why I love working with healers, because you all have an awareness practice that helps you do that. But some of us get stuck in this idea that the ideal client hasn't come to me yet, and that's why my business isn't doing whatever it. No, they're there. You're just kind of muddying that up a little bit. And actually, I think some of the things I'm about to talk about are going to continue to help you, Tanya, and anyone else who's stuck there a little bit. So talk to someone specific. That first name. Your purpose has a name and a face. Put their picture in front of you when you create your blogs, your offerings. So as if I was your ideal client now, I'm going to speak from that perspective. Please make me feel seen and heard to the point that I'll click on your thing. But you better be speaking to me and not everyone, because then I won't know and I'm going to scroll on by. So that when you use words to help that ideal client feel seen and heard, you win. So we were talking about this earlier this morning. Sometimes you got to call them out on their BS. And the example for a blog or a book or a chapter that I've written lately, I'm telling the personal story about myself. It totally calls the reader out. They're like, oh, that's me. Yep, she got me. Right. But I'm not calling them out. I'm calling me out. But then all of a sudden, it's us together. I have the problem. They have the problem now. Me, the author, is going to walk them through how I got to the other side of it. So when you're personal like that and you're calling them out straight up with your issue, you're winning already. They're going to come for the ride, right? So how do we do this? We have to know stuff about them. This is going to sound like you guys are going to eye roll me. I know. But you got to know stuff about them. You have to know their deepest dreams and desires. You have to understand the big ass problem that's in the middle of their world that they are waking up at 3 a.m. with and not telling anyone about. Ooh, there's a catch-22. They're ashamed. They haven't said it to anyone. What I'm saying to you all right now is you don't know the answer to that yet. Some of you do. Some of you have a no love and trust relationship with your deepest clients where they are able to say those things to you. Many of you have never gotten there in the conversation yet, or you don't even know that you haven't gotten there. Do you know the biggest problem? What's keeping them up at night, right? What is the self-sabotaging bullshit in their head? How are you going to even know that unless you have a deeper conversation and move it from them? And again, some of you in the coaching field and the therapist field, and you are having deep conversations and you're moving some of that out, and that is awesome. Pay attention to what they're saying, right? But ultimately, in the beginning, before, let's say you're starting the business and you're like, Laura, I don't even have an ideal client yet. Like, I don't even have a paid client yet, right? I've been helping people for free. I've been discounting my offers, well, so you have to grab on to one of those people that you have helped for free. And it's totally cool to start. You got to start somewhere, and you have to ask. So there are lots and lots of questions, and in the workbook that I will be sending out to you all, if you signed up for it there, okay? It's also going to be attached to the replay email just to make sure you got it. There are going to be 40, there's probably a million questions you can ask, but I'm going to give you 40. I'm going to start you off. And we want to understand this person at the next level. So you need to stop guessing. I am so guilty of, in the beginning, if you had asked me about my ideal client, everything I would have said to you would have been a guess. Well, I think they're a woman and they're probably between 30 and 80 and they're, okay? You all are so guilty of this vague description and you're guessing. I was guessing. So how about we stop guessing, right? You want to know where they hang out. You want to know what their biggest challenges are. Are they married? Are they divorced? Do they have kids? How old are they? What's their relationship status? And how is that relationship going? Where do they live? What kind of car do they drive? What turns them on? What kind of flavor green smoothie do they drink? Where do they shop? What do they buy? What other kinds of courses or coaches or self-development or healing modalities have they purchased and why? I paused on those last few on purpose. How, some of you have asked these questions. If you've not actually gotten with somebody and asked, I'm telling you, it'll be a life-changing moment for you. They're going to tell you what book to write next. They're going to tell you what to offer next. The thing is, we're creating stuff and we're trying to sell it, and we didn't even ask. We just, our beautiful magic, we know it's coming up. We're inspired with all these ideas. We write the books, we do the group coaching programs and the offer. And then it's like we get crickets and we wonder why. Well, there's a few reasons, but you didn't ask, and you're creating not totally knowing. You're making a guess, right? So what are their hobbies? What influencers do they follow? Who's their favorite author? What do they dress like? Right? So I've got 40 questions for you. Don't worry, they're all there in the workbook. All right. You can use mine, you can make your own.
Hey, Laura, we've got some follow-up questions for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Tanya asked, the other thing is, how vulnerable and revealing is it okay to be? I struggle between that and maintaining a professional line.
Oh, I'm so going to get to that in a minute. Hang on. I'm getting there. What else?
Okay. Ashley asked, how do you feel about sending a survey with some of these questions?
I have a better idea. I'm getting there. Hang on. What else? Anything?
No, that's it.
Okay. I'm going to get to both of those in detail. So what I want you to think about in your writing and speaking is, as well, I'm going to go back to writing. When you're writing, and you guys write a lot for your business, you're posting and you're emailing and you're sales paging and you're book writing and blogs, write like you talk. Don't change your awesome conversational, heart-centered language for writing. You're making a mistake. You're getting robotic and you're overthinking it. You're trying too hard to write what you think they need to hear rather than speaking to them in your writing. That will be a huge game changer when you up-level that skill. It takes a little bit of practice. But see if you, and that goes back to that feeling I was describing. I get a little constricted when my writing isn't flowing. I automatically know I need to stop and ask myself a couple of questions. What do I want them to feel? Do I feel that right now? So if I'm feeling constricted and a little tight and a little fearful that this isn't good enough, no, I am not feeling inspired and excited and hopeful and all of those things I want them to feel when they read my words, right? So in my writing classes, we do a love letter to our ideal clients. And I ask everybody, how do you want them to feel and what do you want them to know? And I am going to greatly encourage you to write a love letter to the person you put in the chat today as an exercise. What do you want them to feel and what do you want them to know? What matters to you in terms of what you want to communicate to them, in terms of what you do and your magic and what you know in the world, okay? Write the love letter, right? So write like you talk, like you're sitting on the couch in your fuzzy pants with your cup of tea and you're having a conversation and you're relating to them. Be that awesome, sexy person in your writing too, okay? If you're stuck in perfectionism or professionalitis, I call it. Oh my gosh, how many times people have said to me, oh, that's not professional. We're going to get to the question about how much information is TMI, too much information, too personal, right? We're going to get that in a minute. Some of you have been around me long enough to already know what the answer is going to be, but you know, spoiler alert. But if you're trying to be professional, you're missing out on ideal clients. If you're trying to write or speak in a way that you think is something else that they want, but you're not being yourself and you feel that little bit of shutdown, there it is right there. Get used to feeling it and then open up, pause yourself, create something from a different energy. So in your writing, you know, use your contractions. Don't write like a robot. Be yourself and feel through that authenticity. Feel it coming through. Essentially, all your writing as a business owner should be great copywriting, honestly. It's short, sweet, emotional, and powerful. And it hits right into their heart and soul. So everything a business owner writes is copywriting. Everything is. That's why I said earlier, it's every word you write and speak. Because as a business owner, you want to build that relationship. It's all copywriting, and copywriting can be a skill. And learning your ideal client and doing this kind of work that we're doing today is part of that, right? A big part. Yeah, exactly, Ashley. Exactly. It's like, boring, you know? So tell a story, right? Your powerful storytelling is going to be part of how you're building the know, love, and trust. My Shirley story is one of my stories, right? Anytime you can show us the point with a personal story, the better. This is a know, love, and trust thing. The key is personal. So now I'm going to get to that answer about TMI. This helps us trust you. This helps us know that you're human. And so back in 2016, and that's funny, you've heard that year twice now, haven't you, right? It was my Shirley story. I had a crazy year in 2016. But back then, I was also going through a divorce. and he refused to move during our separation out of the house that I worked out of as a physical therapist. So in Maryland, you need the year with a different address to legally divorce. So I found a one-room apartment 2 miles from my house, and I moved there. I got up at 5 a.m. every single morning to be home before the kids woke up, to take them to school and do what they needed to do. Then I would stay, work in my house. And at about 5 or 6, depending on when their dad was coming home, I would go to my place by myself and cry myself to sleep. And I did it for a year. And I would wake up the next day and I would do it all over again. And so I'm going to ask you all, TMI? I mean, has anyone been there with a divorce? There's plenty of people in this Zoom room. I mean, your stories are probably worse than my story. And so the comparisonitis, don't let that happen, right? And everyone has these stories. They don't need to be bad or good. They just need to be your authentic story. They don't need to be traumatic, or they don't need to be like transformation. They could be everything in the spectrum, and it's going to resonate with the right person. So many times people have said to me, oh, my story isn't bad enough. Like, what? What are you talking about? You know, they're hearing other people's stories. They hear the Shirley story sometimes, and they're like, oh, I don't have a story like that. Well, you have a story though, and yours matters big time. No comparisonitis, right? So, I mean, if you guys play devil's advocate with me and you want to pipe up right now and say, Laura, I don't need to hear about you moving out 2 miles away from the house. Like, that was TMI for me. Go for it right now and say that. And I'm going to say about that's my comfort level. You, person who didn't like to hear it, are not my ideal client. Get that? So I am operating at a level of storytelling and personal storytelling that I feel completely comfortable operating at, and that I want you to know about me, because somebody who comes into my book writing world and wants to write a divorce story, guess who's going to be the best coach ever for that writing? Me. And I'm going to hold their hand and say, hey, I've written about this too. Like, let's see how we can do this in a way that makes you feel really good and doesn't trash anyone, because that's everyone's worst concern, is that they're going to offend somebody in their publishing, right? So TMI, there is none. Why? Because the last time I looked, we're all human. One person's problem is our own problem, and understanding the oneness of humanity is a powerful tool when it comes to telling transparent, authentic, raw, real stories, right? You're going to get me to put my phone down when you give me those stories. I'm going to pay attention. You're hitting into my heart. I want that connection. I need to read and hear your personal stories. The more personal, the more universal. The more personal, the more clients. I promise you. To practice. Not easy some days. Feels a little scary. But I know you got this, right? So we want to know we're not alone. We don't want to feel like the only freak. We want to know we have a tribe of other people like us. We want to know we're cared about. We want to feel loved and belonging. Brene Brown, thank you for that word. We want to feel those ways, right? Basic human nature. So that's what sharing your TMI stories will do for people. It really isn't TMI. And figure out your signature stories. Figure out the ones that you do want to tell, that you feel really good about sharing. You might be on the edge of discomfort, but everything good happens in your discomfort zone. Every transformational change happens over there. Right? So you guys will practice writing and speaking for that ideal client. Sometimes people hire people to copyright for them. I love writing, so I don't really like to hire copywriters. So just beware that sometimes they can't quite get the voice in exactly the authentic way you are, and there's this disconnect, and so you hire someone, but then you're disappointed. Well, of course you're going to be disappointed unless it's this, you just found this dream copywriter who's lived your exact life and is like your long lost identical twin. So think about that a little bit when you're hiring people. Really, really, really interview them and have a couple conversations before they start to write your stuff for you. Make sure they understand who you are, why you're excited, and they have a matching level of passion and enthusiasm. It's hard to find, isn't it? So, any questions? I'll pause for a moment. We've got a couple of really amazing exercises to do. And in those is the promise of that second question, by the way. I know you're still waiting for that second question to be answered. But
Laura,
any other? Yeah.
While we wait for someone to ask a question, Erica asked, what if you have more than one ideal client with different issues at different life stages?
I think probably all of you have that. And I had to get super clear on my offerings and what was bringing the best, juiciest, energy-filled income into my business, what my paid offerings were that were generating life-sustaining income, paying my bills and making me feel good. And I had to get super clear who I wanted to talk to and what I wanted to create for them to go in a direction that started to grow really organically. And in other words, when I chose a lane, it was better. When I spent years trying to talk to two different people, man, that was hard. Now, I won't tell you I don't do it still. Like, I do that a little bit, but mainly a holistic health female, usually, right? There I am being vague again, practitioner who owns their own business and wants to bring their brave words into the world in a bigger way with blogs and books and published words. There's my ideal client. That's pretty narrow. I could go a little deeper and more narrow, but if you can pick one and run with it and do the experiment with the offering, so it's the part of the answer to that is tie it into your paid offering. Are you feeling all that fire underneath? And then the next part of the question would be, if you had those two there in front of you, even if it's 1% worth, where are you a little more enthusiastic? Even if it's a couple percent, and go there, because it's going to be the passion and enthusiasm that at the end of the day makes the biggest difference. It's the energy, right? Welcome to Brave Healer land, right? If you really key into the energy, you will know how to answer that for yourself, that question. So I want to go through a few exercises for you that are going to help you get some clarity. You may have done some of these before, but that's okay. Get to the deeper layer. See what other nugget you're going to get today with this. Earlier when I said, well, this is you 5 years ago or 10 years ago, right? We're going to hit on that a little bit. Begin by thinking back to a time when you were struggling in your life or business and looking for the answers to the problems. What was the problem? Write it down if you can remember it. How were you feeling? So write it down if you can remember, depressed, hopeless. Those are intense. Unsure, fearful. How were you feeling? What was the problem? How were you feeling? The third question is, what was the biggest frustration, block, or obstacle in your way? You are a different person today, so you have to be straight with yourself on answering these questions. The biggest frustration back in 2016 was the man I married did not believe in my new business at any kind of level. So I had no support in my partner at home. And I had to make a big ass scary decision that I didn't want to make. So the biggest frustration was I had this passion burning, and the main person that I had spent 20 years with was not believing in it. Like, he looked at a poetry book idea and he's like, well, you know, your other book was cool, but this isn't viable. And I have since published 5 best-selling books of poetry. So what was the biggest frustration back then? The biggest obstacle in your way, if you had to get into her or his mind then, right? Write it down. Who were the people in your life making it miserable or keeping you from doing what you wanted or needed to do? Write that down. Who were they? There may not have been anyone. Could have been just you. But there might have been somebody feeling like that was getting in the way of you making decisions to move forward. So those are some of the main questions that either, you know, you may have answered a lot of those for yourself already, but you can take that a level deeper, and the answers in the problems and the feelings and the biggest frustrations, today's you are solving those problems for people. How, right? Your magic modality, your magic program, your magic offering. And you can think a little bit more about later, more problems. What really were those at the root of it? What was it? Was it, you know, I had a big mindset block that if I was to be not married, I wouldn't be able to support myself and my 2 kids that were headed for college. I was terrified to make that decision, right?
Laura, can you
Yeah.
please repeat the first question again, please?
What was the problem back then? Thinking back to you at a time 5 or 10 years ago when you were struggling to get where you are now, what was that problem in your life or business? The one you were looking for answers to. Write the problem down. So I'm shared with you a personal problem that I was having, and I want to tell you all that you gotta get personal, because if you say things like, I just didn't have my purpose, I wanted a change, I needed a transformation. You all are using this copy out in your pages. I've read it. It's not specific enough. I had a relationship in my life that was fucking up my mindset and preventing me from making a life-changing decision that after I made it changed everything. That is a way more specific thing than I couldn't find my life purpose, right? So many healers out there talking about purpose. I have no idea what you're talking about. For me, your ideal client. So got to get to know that person and what the things are. So we started by asking ourselves, what was it for me back then? That's the first part of this, first exercise. Okay, so you guys are writing down your ideas, and you're going to take this away, and you're going to take it a little further later when you have some time to kind of chew on it. So now let's think of your ideal client now, the person whose first name you wrote down in the chat, right? Not you, but this other person. Who's your Shirley? What is her biggest problem? Do you know the answer to that? Current ideal client, or somebody you've served for free if you're claiming you don't have a client yet. Who is she or he? What is their biggest problem right now, down to the specifics? And if you're sitting there listening to me going, well, I would just be guessing because I really don't know yet. Awesome. I'm going to tell you how to fix that. What's her or his biggest desire is the other big question, right? And then I want you to write them that love letter that I mentioned earlier. That's a little bit of homework for you today. Okay, sit down, write them a love letter. What do you want them to know about your own story and where you've been? What do you want them to know about their problem that they're having and what you know about it? What do you want them to know about that desire they have burning inside of them? And share with your person in the letter how she can feel when she's made the transformation working with you. Get the energy and the feel into it. Give her a glimpse into what's possible. Specific glimpse. And that's some of you who have done the love letter exercise with me and the different writing classes. We didn't take it to this level yet. It was like, how do you want them to feel? What do you want them to know, right? But now today I've gotten a little deeper on that. Share the story and share with them what's possible when the transformation happens. Get into your awesome feels, right? So here's the biggest exercise and challenge to all of you today. It's homework. I would love it if every single person in this room does this and or does it again if you've already done it. And it should answer that second question we had earlier, like, I can't, and now I'm trying to remember what that question was, but it had to do with this. You need to interview somebody, a live human. So for those of you who are action takers here and can multitask this right now, you gave me a first name in the chat. I want you to pull up their email right now. Write them an email right this minute. And I want you to say something like, hey, Shirley, I'm working on this new business accelerator program for next year. And I really love working with you. It has been a total honor to get to know you and work with you over this period of time. I'm wondering, would you do me the favor and honor of just letting me ask you some questions? Can I interview you? Okay, so you guys do your own version of this email invitation. And essentially you're asking them to coffee or you're asking them to a Zoom, and you are going to record the answers to the 40 questions that are in the workbook and beyond. I met with Stacy for a 2-hour lunch the first time, and then we did another Zoom, and then I invited her out to spend a night with me, and we had more. So I have done this at multiple levels for multiple hours, not the 1-hour conversation I'm asking you to start with. You got to start with this. Invite your person right now, email them. They are going to be so honored to help you, by the way. Right? If anybody gets a no, I will be very surprised. Okay? They're probably going to be like, oh, of course I would do that, right? And so take your notebook when you're ready for the interview, ask them all the questions, especially now. I want you guys, all of you business owners, to think about, what do you have in the next 3, 6 months, a year planned for your paid offerings? I know you all have a plan going on here. You're going to want to ask very specific questions. Hey, Shirley, this Business Accelerator is a 7-week online program where I'm basically going to grab your hand as a business owner, and I'm going to take you through the community and business building steps every week that will help you catapult your business. We're actually going to dream up a new stream of income for you. We're going to build your community. I am not going to just tell you how to do it. I'm going to help you do it. So now that you know more about my program, how does that sound to you? Is that something like somebody like you would like? Tell me why. Tell me why not. Tell me if this was a program that you would join, what would you want in it? You guys, you are not selling them in the interview. They are doing you a favor and answering all your questions. Because if they give you some nugget of gold of something you didn't think about putting in your offering, and you're like, oh my God, of course. They're going to co-create your programs with you. They're going to give you the answers to everything. So I gave you a very, very specific example of questions I want you to ask based on offerings or creations you've already been thinking up and maybe are already half in place or in place, right? This is to help you craft them at the next level or possibly change your mind. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Tweak them at least. The more upfront due diligence feedback you get from a possible ideal client, the better. You can then create. What if you guys got into the conversation and all of a sudden you realized they were giving you the title for your next book that you might want to write? And you're like, wow, of course. I didn't realize that was one of your biggest problems. And I totally solved that problem all day long. Of course. Yeah, there it is. It's my next book or chapter or blog or offering, or I could go on and on, y'all. Go interview your people. Who did it in the last few minutes when you were listening to me talk? Who emailed? Anyone say me in the chat? Who did it? I can't see all of you, so type it in. Oh, good. Got a couple of you. Do it, do it, do it. Okay. And don't be scared. You're just talking
Laura?
to somebody. Yeah.
Kai has her hand up for you.
Okay. What you got, Kai?
I was thinking about this before you asked us to email, but right now in my business, I'm offering free body code sessions because I'm trying to do a start an online healing business. And I just said, well, in exchange for the free session, I'm going to ask them for 15 minutes of questions.
Perfect.
And so I just emailed, someone who I'm doing a session on tomorrow morning and just said, can we tack on 15 minutes for questions that I just want to get from you.
Perfect.
And it's, for me, it's just a perfect connection to make, give and get,
Yes, 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 yes. And then pick and choose those questions that you'll ask, really hone in on the answers you really want. Here's another good one for you to add into those questions, because I know this bogs a lot of you down. What will they pay? So since you're not selling this thing to this beautiful person who's just helping you by having a conversation, you'll be straight up front with her. So I was like, Stacy, I'm actually going to do my first group coaching program ever. And I have thought about pricing it at this and this. Can you tell me, just be straight up with me, what price feels good? Why? Here's what is offered. Do you think, right? Go ahead and be transparent about the pricing conversation with someone who may or may not purchase it. You're just having a casual conversation. There's so much less stress about that. And then you can think about that price moving forward. Ideal clients, oh my gosh, we could have a whole nother chat today about the psychology of buying and numbers and pricing and it's complicated, right? But if you're having a great conversation with somebody or more than one person, Kai's idea is awesome, right? Do a few of these, right? You can ask those great questions, okay? So sometimes, obviously, you're going to get golden nuggets in this interview, right? And sometimes you will be able to create the offering after the interviews because now you know the answers. You know their biggest problem. You know the problem they want you to solve. They have told you the strengths they think you have and what you can do for them. You are getting the answers to a lot of wonderful things, right? And you can craft after interviewing one person, couple people. Do it like Kai, offer 10 little sessions, do 15. I mean, whatever version feels good to you, you should be doing. So I'm going to do some live coaching with some of you now. And before we start that, here's what I want you to know about growing your business. There is a lot. I could just stop right there. There's a lot, isn't there? There is a lot of important information, strategy, community building, and networking you'll need to do what you want to do. The ideal client work we're doing today is a small part, and it will never end. Don't think about this as a destination. Think about it as the journey and part of the journey. You're getting better and better and better at understanding this human being that is just like you, right? So I am really excited to share with you all that I am going to start the next and last live version of the Brave Healer Business Accelerator course on September 19th. In this particular version of the course, you're going to get live support, coaching, networking, on and on and on. We're going to do networking, building your community, business development, mindset, your income streams, strategies, systems, resources for building that business. And Kelly is going to drop all the information about that program in the chat. Everyone in the Zoom and watching this replay today who showed up and is watching, if you use the code BADASS, pretty sure it's all caps, you're going to get $350 off the course. I will never offer it for this price again at that discount. Okay. Course is $19.97. It is, I've had participants tell me they paid 5 times that and got half the value of what I'm going to offer. So there's my offering to you. I love the class, and I don't believe in telling you what to do so that you can go do it on your own. There's going to be that, and there's going to be, hey, I'm going to hold your hand and we are going to go and we're going to figure out your income stream, and we're going to figure out how to build your community. And we do it together because the Brave Healer Productions community is big enough now to hold that container with you for you. So super excited about being able to say that out loud. Okay. So now that that part is done and you understand what my thing is today, I want to talk to a couple of you who need a little extra. And I'm going to pull my screen off in just to a little different view here. And the first 2 people to type me in the chat are going to get some live coaching. Who wants to play in the sandbox? Shabnam, awesome. Let's start. So unmute and tell me everything. So let me back up. Don't tell me everything. Tell me the biggest issue right now as it relates to Ideal Client for you. Hang on, I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you guys hear her? No. Get a little louder. I heard you barely. Better? It's very faint. Can you get closer to your, are you plugged in with an earphones today? Yeah.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, way. Got
Okay.
it. Okay.
So I just got a new certificate in grief counseling, and I'm looking to establish that clients for that. I have 2 clients that are kind of friends that I'm working with right now that are going through stuff like that. So my problem has always been selling myself, like how to sell.
So remember earlier when I said we are taking that word out of the language.
Right.
We're not selling ourselves.
Yeah.
We're not selling our offerings. No, 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 no.
Okay, good.
Get the word sales out of your head and out
Okay.
of your old, boring, habitual conditioning. Do it today.
Okay.
Here's what we're doing. We are changing the world with our magical, heart-centered, soul-driven offerings. And the more we share who we are and what we're up to in the world and what paid offerings we have over here, the more lives we change. Guess what happens if we're not so good at selling ourselves? Guess what happens? Nothing. So I want to change it. I did that for everyone, not just you, Shabnam, because I know everyone needs to kind of hear that a million times. So when you shift your mindset and you just pour into the passion you have, you guys, we are celebrating 42 Amazon best-selling books this month. please, some of you come into our collaborations. They cost $997. If you can afford it, fantastic. I'm going to make sure that chapter builds your business. You guys, if some of you felt that that was a sell, I don't care. I love what I do, and I over deliver. And I am telling you, everyone in this room, I know you even if I don't know you. I know you over deliver. I know that you pour your heart into what you do. I know your up nights. I know the hours you spend. I know what you want to do for people. You're changing the world by doing the work on yourself and then offering these things to other people that you know in your heart will transform their lives. We're not selling. Are you kidding me? We're changing the world. Okay, so that's a long lecture for Shabnam. Tell me the main issue about selling your thing with the grief.
I just don't know where to go put it.
Tell me the exact specifics of the paid offering. Like all of us are listening. We want to know what this is exactly.
So anyone who is going through any challenges in life, that for me, grief is a multitude, is not just for death. So what I do is walk them through the steps of like
okay, wait, so I didn't mean tell us what the modality is.
Yeah.
I meant tell us what you're selling. Is it a group program?
No, it's counseling, both
One-on-one.
private and one-on-one, and eventually in group.
Okay, so right now, the thing that I can give you my credit card for is a one-on-one coaching / counseling session.
Yes.
Okay, how much does it cost?
I'm still trying to put the price together because I just finished my course. So that's what I'm trying to gather from people that I know.
Shabnam, I want a session this afternoon. How much does it cost?
150.
Did you see what she did? Did you guys see?
Yeah.
I'm like, Shabnam's gonna slap me later, right? Because I'm like,
No, it's okay. I don't slap you. I've learned a lot from you over the year.
You guys, my book collaboration, Love Warriors, is $997. It is the best thing you're ever gonna do. It's gonna change your life. I practice selling a lot. The more you talk about your offering and get confident in your own skin and the value you're providing, the more easy this gets. This gets easier and easier, but it's like, no. So Shabnam, how long of a session is it?
Hour and a half.
90 minutes. What did you say it cost? 150? Who will raise their hand and say that's too low, just knowing the amount of time she's offered? Yes, thank you. Too low. Like, I don't, I know certain things about the amount of time people spend with people and the amount of dedicated, active listening you're doing, the way that you hold your energy prior to, during, and after a session. I know things about what you're doing. Please don't undersell yourselves, y'all, all of you. 90 minutes is a long, full session. And if you start at 150 and you're at a starting point, then what I would suggest is you make an offer for a month, a certain number a week, a certain amount of months, to allow people to come into your world and taste this as a beta version of this session. Right now, you all can have what's the session called? Does it have a title? The blah blah session. Can you title it for me a little bit?
No, I don't have a title yet.
Okay,
so it's a coaching session.
Okay, I'm going to sign up for Shabnam's grief relief session. It's a 90
That's on my website, actually.
Okay.
Relief for grief.
How did I guess? I mean, honestly, that was a guess. So I would love to have Shabnam's 90-minute grief relief session, and it's $150. So she's going to basically say to the world, hey, y'all, for about a month, I'm going to be offering this as an introductory level fee for you to get some help, support, and love if you have experienced a deep loss in your life. whether it be divorce, loss of a loved one, trauma, suicide. Okay, now I'm getting specific on purpose for her. So I'm doing this for Shabnam's sake, okay? Because I have to recognize my loss in her copywriting. I have to recognize myself and my problem in there. And so she can't just say grief relief. I'm going to be like, you know, but I will pay attention if she's speaking exactly to me and the grief I am experiencing. So I would consider, if this is really brand new for you, to let people know that this is an introductory price and there are limited number of these and exactly what they can expect to have support with, and then a discovery call to see if they're a good fit. There is nothing more powerful than disqualifying clients. And not everybody is for you.
Yeah.
And when you all shift your mindset to being able to disqualify, and you realize I don't want to see everybody, and you understand the questions to ask in that little discovery call. Hey, I actually don't book calls right before I make a discovery call with you. So let's get on for 15 or 20 minutes and let's just have a quick chat to see if I'm the right fit for one of these introductory level sessions. And honestly, the energy of that confidence completely elevates when you change it to that. It's like, I need to see if you're the right fit for me, for this introductory gift that I'm giving you. Because that could turn into a long-standing client, or it could turn into 3 more sessions or 6 more. And everybody here understands, for coaching and counseling and healing work and the self-development journey, man, 1 session is a tiny little stepping stone, and they've got a whole journey in front of them. And you know that the ultimate transformation happens in, and now you fill in the blank, 3 months, 6 months. If you had a year with people, you could do a life-changing transformation, right? You all know your promise. What's your promise? Do you all write your promise on your website? Have you even thought about how you can get passionate? So they could come for 1 session, business strategy session with me, and I could really change your business. And my sessions are 90 minutes as well. My hour session is $250. Some people tell me that's too low. So what I really know is if they came into the 7-week accelerator for X price, not only would they have that 1 session awesomeness, but oh my gosh, multiply that times 1,000 plus the community building. So they're actually going to get a result where they can't stop talking about me. Wouldn't you all rather sell something that has the ultimate result? Because then they're going to start talking about you and writing the testimonials and doing the things. So we all do these kind of one-off things, or with these low-priced things, or these other little things. And really, in our heart of hearts, we know that the transformation happens in the 3-month program, or in the year thing, or the whatever program, right? So what if you could get behind, I almost said selling, but I'll say sharing the transformation instead. So Shabnam, does that help a little bit today?
That helps a lot. Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
What if I go to if somebody wants to come, let's say every week, if they're in a crisis, so $250, for instance, would be too much for them. That's what's keeping me a little hesitant. And I can do the work in 1 hour too, so it doesn't have to be an hour and a half. Right. And I do energy work in there as well, so it's like a different type of coaching. So so what I'm saying is that's what I'm struggling with as well.
Well, if somebody is willing to purchase a package, then give them a discount.
Okay.
So if you know that they need to come once a week, or they want to come once a week, and they know that they're going to need to be with you for a few months, work out. And that's the discovery call, you guys.
Right. Okay.
you
Yeah.
need to ask them some questions. And if they're already like, yes, please, I would like to see you. And I really want to come once a week. And you know, what's your fee? They're going to ask. Get good at saying it. Well, my fee is 150 for a 90-minute session, but if you know you need to come once a week for a couple of months, I'll drop that down to 125 and I'll give you that discount.
Okay.
Right? And they have to pay, they have to then pay the package fee upfront.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Tanio, how about you? We got a couple minutes for
Okay.
yours.
So I think for me it's like getting new clients. Like the clients that I have now like 3+ years. Like they just keep taking all my offerings. But it's finding those clients again, like I've got to branch out, right? Because my offerings are getting bigger. So it's really that I feel like is one of the problems, besides all the overwhelm that I get in my head because I have so many ideas.
Well,
so
so
many
that's
things I
where
wanna
you go
offer.
to the passion play of the paid offering that just literally, even if it's 2% more, it lights you up more. And you come into that place where the sharing can be really amped up a notch. It gets you fired up a notch. And then you need to pick. And then my next question for you would be to tell us, you know, give us an example of one of them so that we can really work on an example today. And really quick, because I know we're at the hour and a half today already. If any of you want to do a discovery session with me, a little couple quick minutes on the phone just to see if the business accelerator is right for you. You want to ask me a question after today. If you're watching the replay, same offer to you guys. You can email me, okay, bewarriorlove@gmail.com, and you can just say, hey, can I grab a quick chat with you about that program or a question I had, and I'd be super duper happy to get on with you. So Tanio, want to give us an example?
So I mean, one program, it's not like with most passionate program, because that gonna need some time for me to really create, is I just started a VIP one-on-one coaching program. I'm a writing coach, as you know. And it was actually at the suggestion of one of my clients. So I created it. And it's a 10-month program. It's a
VIP writing coaching. So
yeah.
tell me so this is one mistake sometimes that people make is they say, oh, I got this VIP writing coaching program, but on your sales pages, for sure on your sales pages, make sure every single bullet listed detail of what it is there for the person to understand. So for instance, Brave Healer Business Accelerator is a 2-hour Zoom every week for 7 weeks with a bonus week and guest experts. We're going to have a dedicated Facebook group where you can come in and ask questions, and you're going to have access to unlimited emails and support from me. So that's pretty specific. What are they going to get for the money that they're going to pay in your VIP writing program? So tell me what it is.
So they're going to get a weekly meeting for an hour one-on-one. They're at 3 15-minute check-in calls per week. They can be like voice memo to voice memo. They're going to get journal writing prompts that are related to topics. So each month has a topic. The first month is a foundational month where they're creating internal stability, themselves, and connection to their body, as well as creating a habit of a good writing process on a daily basis. They're going to be getting play dates where we just have fun and play games. There's going to be an artist date, and these will happen like once per month. So 1 month there'll be a play date. 1 month there'll be the artist date where we'll go to an exhibit.
Is the program
it's a 10-month program.
10 months. Okay, that's important. Is this all detailed on your page?
I don't even have a page up about this yet because literally this client just said she wanted to be my VIP client, and I said okay, and I haven't put it on my website yet.
Okay, that's perfect if somebody's asking you for it, right? So then what's your question about that?
So I guess my question is how to get more.
How to find more people. Okay, that's an easy answer.
Yeah.
So get your sales page up yesterday because you already sold it. This is already going to be successful. Somebody already asked you for it. You go interview, number one, go interview her, ask her the 40 questions.
She was on my list. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So do that due diligence there first. Get a sales page up. I don't care what it looks like. Get a landing page where I can read all these details, because this is for all of you. If you go and talk to someone and you meet someone at the supermarket and they, like Kyle is here today from Do Good Video, and Kyle makes amazing videos for people. Like if you go on my YouTube channel, the pinned video is all Kyle. Go watch it later, okay? Brave Healer Productions on YouTube. So I meet Kyle, total stranger, in the supermarket, and we get into this discussion, and Kyle is like starting to tell me, yeah, you know, I make these videos for entrepreneurs, and we really work with nonprofits to help get their message and beautifulness out into the world in a bigger way. And I love working with heart-centered healer people, blah, blah, blah. And I'm starting to get excited. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, Kyle has exactly what I like. Can you tell me how much you cost? Like, where can I go? And you have nothing, no landing page, no way for them to give you the credit card, you lose. Get your landing pages up. Get your payment connections ready. If Oprah called any of you tomorrow, would your website be ready for that? No, just say no. Mine wouldn't either, by the way.
No, but I have all my payment links ready.
Like if somebody connected with you, if you were in one of Brave Healer Productions' best-selling books and your book went into the Oscars goodie bags, that happened this year, and somebody read your chapter and reached out to you, would your site be ready? Most of you are going to say, oh, no, what does that even mean? Or you'll just say no, right? Go get your shit in a row. Go get your ducks in a row, you guys. Go get your websites done, your landing pages for these beautiful ideas. So for Tanya, I'm going to give her the homework. Go do the interview. Get up the landing page with a brief introduction of what it is. You can always add to that later. It'll change later. That's fine. Get your payment thing there so that they can actually, you know, and then all the sharing you do on social, emails, newsletters, chats in the supermarket, live streams on Instagram, everything else you do has a landing page. If all that crazy effort you all are making in your promoting and marketing and sharing doesn't have a place for people to give you the credit card, you're losing. So I know sometimes in my past, I go crazy because I get a million ideas a day and I want to put everything into place. And I've got like 9-10 streams of income at this point because, you know, I can't focus on one thing. I want to have everything ready. And you go a little crazy. I think all of us here are probably multi-potentialites, like we have 5 ideas at once all the time, you know. So you do have to get into the lane of, okay, which one fires me up the most? Which one could bring me the most income right away? Get out of your head that you don't know if somebody will pay that. Just move that aside a little bit and choose the thing that you think will be the most lucrative for you and the most fun. And let your passions and your enthusiasm be in that lane and getting it going. Because you're going to be excited because of all the other things I said today. And it's that thing that they're going to feel, right? So y'all talk to me if you have more questions about this. And I think you all understand that it's why I'm offering the Business Accelerator program, is because we did 90-ish minutes today on a really important topic that you need a community to help you, and you need to keep going with this stuff for the life of your business. In the beginning, I had nobody, and I did everything by myself until I had a small team, until I had a community, until I had a place where I could invite other business owners in and say, hey, let's do this, right? Let's do this together. And then rubbing elbows with people who have 6 and multiple 6-figure businesses, who have gone through the mistakes and the failures and the crappy days. And they're like, oh, you know, you guys, you really should build an SOP library yesterday. Does anyone know what that means? Okay, look it up. There's a whole module in the Business Accelerator about SOPs, standard operating procedures. I won't make you look it up. When I realized that my business didn't have a library of SOPs, I had a moment, a freak out, because I realized that if I don't know, gosh, knock on wood, something happened to me tomorrow, that'd be it. There'd be nobody. There'd be nobody who knew what I know about my daily operations, and that my income then, and then you got a problem and you need more income because you got a problem, but your business stops. That's a freak out for most solopreneurs. Go have a library of SOPs, write down everything you do in your business and how you do it step by step. Make videos about it. And you'll thank me later. We got a whole module in the Business Accelerator about SOPs, how to make them, why to make them, what to make them on. And that's just a super tiny little taste. I love that most of you raised your hand like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I had no idea what that was. Having systems underneath your business is going to make you wake up in the morning with this feeling of ease and relief that you're not having now because it's only you and you don't really know what to do and you don't have a community to back you up, right? So yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so for just for purposes of making this a doable replay watch, I am going to stop the recording. I'm going to remind you guys that that code of badass is going to get you $350 off the course this year. It's the last time I'm going to run it live, and I would be so honored and happy to have you and help you. So please check out the link. It's going to be in the replay that you will all get as well. And especially if you have questions and you just want to get on the phone, please get with me. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and I'll stick around for any of you who have little extra questions today, okay? So thanks for being here.